Iris, welcome to the Leanpub launch video for the history of .NET Web Development 3rd edition. I was wondering if you could take a few moments just to talk a little bit about yourself and who you are, and what the book is about and who it's for.
Right. I'm Iris Classon, and I'm a software developer. I'm a developer at Plate, it's called. We do like smart home solutions, and we also do like smart lights and so on. It's a lot of fun. I'm more than happy to talk about it because I just absolutely love my job. And I like to say that I work as an author, but let's not discuss the pay. Yeah, I guess I've been, I'm a Microsoft MVP. I'm very involved in the software development community. I'm on the board of directors for the .NET Foundation, and I speak at conferences. I'm all over the place, and I've been for the last decade plus a couple of more years. So yes, that's me in a nutshell.
Fantastic. And so you've got a few books on Leanpub. You've actually been a guest on our Front Matter podcast before, and you've written about .NET. And I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about what .NET is for someone who's, maybe even they're a programmer, but they don't know about it or its history.
Well, .NET, I don't know, how do I do it? Wait, for a programmer or for a non-programmer?
For a non-programmer, let's say.
For a non-programmer, okay, for a non-programmer. When you write, this is really hard.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain it? I guess when you write code, you write it sort of like you write language. So you write sentences which turn into instructions, what the computer or the program is supposed to do. Now, that language usually belongs to sort of a community, which you can refer to as a framework or a platform. And that usually incorporates other languages you can use for writing. That a program is usually written with different languages that do different parts in the program. And that framework or that platform that I've written about is called .NET. And it's by Microsoft, which I'm sure even non-programmers have heard about. And it's very, very popular. I think it's a nice contender next to Java is another language that's very popular. And .NET incorporates several languages. One of them is C#, and that's like the main language being used, but there's more to it. And the book I've written is about web development specifically, because you can use the .NET platform to write web applications.
Yeah, and that's actually really I love that when you're tracing the history, you really get to that distinction really well in the book, where you talk about how programmers when before the internet, you programmed your computer. Yes. If you think about the sort of maybe you yourself or your kid got a computer back in the day, and then they would get a magazine. This is like 40 years ago, and they would type out some instructions. Those instructions ran on the computer and maybe made a little game on the computer or something like that. But with web development, you're actually creating something that computers are sharing.
Yeah.
And you need a platform for doing that, and you need shared languages and things like that. And that's the sort of history that you're tracing there. And it's interesting. I found reading it sort of like refreshing my own memory. It's always sort of surprising how much earlier the internet got going than you think, right? But also like how much later web development started happening than you think.
And also how we go back and forth. So and it seems to be sort of like the natural cycle of programming. You go from server heavy to client heavy to server heavy to client heavy to something in between. And it's always, whenever something new and hot comes out, then like only a couple of years later, or maybe not even a year later, somebody tells you, no, that's old school. Nobody does that anymore. So it feels like, if you're familiar with the term fast fashion, there seems, I get the feeling, in particularly with web development, you have this sort of like fast fashion going on. So you constantly have new frameworks and platforms that are trending. And as soon as you learn one of them, it's out the door, and then is the next one. And you basically will turn crazy if you try to do it all and always try to sort of use the latest and the hottest. So that's sort of like why I wrote the book. The book was originally a chapter in an A-Press book that I wrote about migrating ASP.NET framework applications to ASP.NET Core microservices. And the chapter just got way too long, and the editor just made a big red cross across all of it and said, like, now let's drop this. Nobody wants to read this in this particular book. So I took it and decided to just keep writing, and it turned into a book. And then every year, because .NET has yearly releases now, very happy about that. Every November, there's a new edition coming out, and so I just kept updating the book, and it's getting longer and longer. And it's a good way to stay up to date, because you just need to sort of read the last few chapters if you've read it before. So
yeah, no, that's great. It's a really great idea for a book. And it's, as you say, it's really great for keeping sane in the world of things changing, to sort of not only sort of have this grounding in the past, but something that's updated all the time.
yeah.
The book is The History of .NET Web Development, 3rd edition. So thank you very much for taking the time to do this launch video with me today.
Thank you very much for having me.